Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Foley. Welcome to Social Deviance. I am just making this video today to give you a short personal introduction since I am posing questions to you in the first discussion forum and requiring you to introduce yourself to me and others. I figured I'd better do a little bit of that myself. And I thought I'd just make a video instead of writing about it and actually posting the text in the forum just to change it up a little bit. All right, so I'm actually on my phone. I don't normally do the videos for any class on my phone, but today I am, like I said, just to change it up a little bit and make sure that it is not about lecture and it's not about PowerPoints and it's not about showing you particular websites and things like that. It's really just a personal intro. So again, I'm Dr. Allison Foley, and where am I from and what have I been studying or doing in the last few years? So I was born in a rural farm town in western Illinois. I moved during elementary school to Oklahoma. I grew up in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area. Went to college in a pretty classic rural college town at Oklahoma State University. I got my degree in sociology there and worked at a drug court for a year. And then I moved out to Colorado and went to do my graduate work at the University of Colorado. So I lived in Denver for a little while, and I lived in Boulder for a little while. And then 11 years ago, I moved here, and I've been here ever since. This is the longest that I've ever lived in one town, if you don't count me living in my parents' house in Tulsa area. So what have I been studying or doing in the last few years? So in the last few years, in addition to teaching, internship, gender and victimization, women in crime, institutional corrections, I teach a couple of courses in the Master's in Public Administration program too. But when I'm not doing that, what I'm studying really is the effectiveness of various programs and approaches and policies that have to do with crime in generally, but these are particular projects that some of us have had going on with organizations like Rape Crisis and Sexual Assault Services, the Richmond County Sheriff's Office, and the juvenile courts here in our area. So those are kind of where I'm most active these days. And as far as other things that I've been doing, I'm also really involved with Sexual Assault Awareness Month programming, Domestic Violence Awareness Month programming, and I coordinate our internships. So that might be one way that we know each other. So I'm happy to see some familiar faces from other classes this summer, and I am happy to see some new faces too, and I think some of you I'll see again in fall or beyond. So next question, to tell you about two of my most significant learning experiences in college so far is what I posed to you. So of course, my biggest learning experience was my dissertation research, because you spend the most amount of time physically, literally, emotionally, mentally on a project like that. My dissertation research was a program evaluation, and the program was what's called an equine facilitated psychotherapy program. And that means a therapeutic horseback riding program. The people who participated in the program were girls who were serving time. That's too formal of a word, and also incarcerated is too formal a word, but they were placed in a residential treatment facility in the urban Denver area, and they would participate in a therapeutic horseback riding to sort of complement the therapy that they were in at the facility. And so I studied that, and I talk a little bit more about that in one of my other classes, but that's just to give you an answer to that question. I also have to say I did a project very early on I guess it was probably technically junior year. It was actually the summer before my junior year. It's all coming back to me now. Where it was for a social stratification course. And what I did was drove down a major street in the Tulsa area, and I stopped at every gas station and grocery store, convenience store, what have you, pharmacy, Walgreens type deal. And I had like a form where I would price out milk, bread, chips, toilet paper, and a few other things. And I found that the prices were the highest in the areas that were the poorest. And I looked at like census tract data for that. And that was kind of my first realization that income inequality is real. And look at how folks who are living in the most marginalized neighborhoods are having to pay the most for fundamental things. And what is that about, right? So, not exactly related to Deviance, but nevertheless, it was kind of my first light bulb, aha, sociological moment. So, I'm really interested in hearing what y'all have to say as responses to those questions in the discussion forum. And I would sign off and say I'll see you then, but I do want to share one thing with you that I think is an important foundation to this particular course. So yeah, I've been teaching this course for 11 years, plus I TA'd for the first author of your textbook when I was in graduate school, so I learned Deviance from her, and let me tell you, she is a character. I think she's completely retired now from that university, but my best friend in graduate school was one of her advisees, and when they first met, my best friend was really nervous to meet her, and she comes off fairly intimidating. And she posed the question to my best friend, why are you here? Why do you want to study sociology? And for whatever reason, at the moment, jitterbugs, I guess, it caught my friend off guard, and her response was to turn the question back to Dr. Adler and say, gosh, that's a really good question. Why do you study sociology? And she said, because people are fascinating. Because people are fascinating. And it's like, yeah, you're right. They are. Sometimes infuriatingly so, sometimes in an awe-inspiring manner, sometimes in a, gosh, that's straight, somewhere in between, right? But that has always, when I heard that story, that made me say to myself, that's the perfect explanation for why people study Deviance. Because people are fascinating, right? Why do people do these things that they do that aren't understandable to everyone? So that's just to lay the foundation for our course. So I'll see you again in another video and another time. And in the meanwhile, I will see you online in the discussion forum. So thanks, everybody. Have a good day.